Beliefs are the very thing that can catapult us forward into the life of our dreams, or the thing that can hold us back like a ball and chain, forcing us to relive a past we don't necessarily want to live. What's up, beautiful? It's Lisa Roulette, and I'm here to help you heal and create a life you love. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please make sure to check out those links in the description of the video below for lots of relevant content, along with some freebies that you'll definitely want to check out, especially if you're on a healing journey. Today, we're talking about beliefs, specifically core beliefs, how they're formed, how they manifest, how they become wounded, and how we can begin to heal them. So let's begin with how beliefs form. Beliefs form in two ways, from experience and through inheritance. From a very young age, as we experience the world and witness things unfolding around us, we tend to determine what's true for us and what's not true for us. Unless we've lived an extremely positively focused life, it's very likely that some of our truths are going to form into beliefs that are wounded. When we hold wounded beliefs, our worldview becomes a very tight and restricted lens, leaving us with very inflexible and rigid beliefs, which of course, if our beliefs are wounded, is not a good thing. The second way beliefs are formed is through inheritance. It's very normal for us to pick up beliefs from our families and society because it feels good to belong. Now, we also pick up beliefs from our ancestors through that rich cellular memory that comes in with our DNA. Now, the problem with inheriting beliefs is that most beliefs that have been formed in the past were formed in a very different energetic environment. If you watch this channel at all, you know that we're moving from a very dense 3D reality that's full of lack and limitation into a fifth dimensional reality as we move further into the age of Aquarius, where things are significantly more abundant. And the reason they're more abundant is because we are ascending along with our planet. We are expanding our consciousness, which means we're opening our awareness to be able to understand and perceive more things. And that's a really good thing. Now, if you're still trying to understand the third dimension versus the fifth dimension, keep in mind that dimensions are not a place in time. A person who's experiencing a fifth dimensional awareness can very easily be riding on a bus next to a person who's experiencing a third dimensional awareness. It's really about how much we can perceive and the frequencies we're able to attain. The higher the frequency, the more likely you will be able to ascend into the fifth dimension, which again, where things are significantly more abundant. So the goal is to ascend, the goal is to expand, and ultimately to do that, we have to heal a lot of things, but we have to heal wounded beliefs. Now, we all share 6 core beliefs. I'm going to give you 5 now and the 6th a little bit later on in the video, so make sure you stick around. The first 5 core beliefs are based on whether or not we feel lovable, deserving, worthy, powerful, and as if we're enough in relation to the rest of the world. These beliefs manifest in 2 ways, from a place of acceptance and a place of denial. So let's look at how beliefs manifest from a place of acceptance. If, say, you don't feel worthy, and you can really admit that in your conscious mind, maybe you don't want to shout it from the rooftops, but you can sort of say, because of my education or my background or my skin color, something in my awareness tells me I'm not quite worthy. It's very likely that you're going to show up in the world as not worthy, and therefore you're going to experience a lot of lack and limitation, experiencing less than someone who might feel or believe that they're truly worthy. Now, beliefs can also manifest from a place of denial, where in your conscious mind, you would never admit that you don't feel worthy, but deeply rooted is that feeling of unworthiness, and you might spend the majority of your life trying to prove yourself, either through incessantly working or always needing to be right or always needing to be heard. Now, if you've ever known a narcissist, you have witnessed a belief manifesting from denial. Since most narcissists don't feel very worthy, they don't feel very deserving, and they don't feel very lovable, they are constantly trying to prove themselves by mistreating and gaslighting other people in order to superficially switch that belief. Okay, so now we know 3 things. We know how beliefs are formed through experience and inheritance. We also know what 5 of the 6 core beliefs are. And we know that beliefs manifest either through acceptance or denial. But what if we really can't call out our beliefs? How do we discover them? And if we find one that's wounded, what do we do about it? How do we heal it? Well, the easiest way I've found to discover and heal wounded beliefs is through shadow work. Now, shadow work is a really big subject, so if you want me to dedicate an entire video to shadow work, please drop me a comment below and I'll make sure to put it in the channel lineup. But the shadow is the part of us that we keep buried in our awareness. We keep it hidden because we're scared if it were to come forward that we would be rejected. But we all have a shadow. The good news is, though, that now with the frequencies that we have at our access, we have the opportunity to not only heal our shadow, but the collective shadow as well. So if you've never done shadow work, jump on the bandwagon. It is so powerful and freeing and healing. And it's the very thing that we need to make our ascension journey a little bit more comfortable. We want to work with the shadow because the shadow typically develops based on wounded beliefs. So if we can work with the shadow, we'll inevitably figure out what the wounded belief is. We know the shadow is going to embody our awareness when we're triggered. And we know we're triggered when we can say, I am, followed by a negative emotion, such as I am lonely, I am depressed, I am anxious, I'm pissed. That's when you know the shadow is coming up into the awareness. And the way we heal the shadow and the wounded belief is in the same way we heal anything, by bringing light to it. Now, if you haven't watched my video on the art of manifestation, I'll link it in the description of this video below because I talk a lot about how you can embody more light. But the way we can immediately embody light is through the art of surrender. If you've never practiced the art of surrender, now's the time, especially in this day and age. We have to be able to surrender in the moment, because if we're not surrendering when we're triggered, we're going to instantly react. And when we react, we give away our power and our sovereignty over our energetic vibration. So we have to master the art of surrender, keeping in mind that the incentive is the higher frequencies we can attain, the faster we get to the fifth dimension. If you haven't watched my video on the art of surrender, I'll link it in the description of this video below. Surrender begins by taking the high self position, by observing and witnessing your emotions in the moment. This is a very powerful art, because as soon as you can witness and observe, then you can ask yourself intelligent questions like, why do I feel this way? And you have to be careful who answers the question, because you're either going to have it answered from the high self or the ego. And the ego holds the sixth wound, which is the wound of separation. Now, if we can heal the wound of separation, all of our other wounded beliefs fall off. Because once we understand there is no separation and that everything is one, that you are God, you are the universe, I am you, and you are me, we never have a reason to wonder if we are lovable, deserving, powerful, worthy, or if we are enough, because we are one, which means that we have the powers of creation and healing, and we can be and become anything we desire. So that primal wound of separation, if we can heal that one primal wound, all the other wounded beliefs fall away. In the meantime, you still might be curious about what your wounded belief is. And so we want to continue to ask intelligent questions from the observer's viewpoint and answering from the high self. So let's do an example so that you can understand the difference between the high self answering the question and the ego answering the question. Inevitably, the ego is going to answer a question from a place of blame and victimization. So let's say your friends are talking about you behind your back. You're immediately going to say, I'm pissed, I'm offended, they're obnoxious. So that's the victimization and that's the blame. But the high self might say, why do I feel this way? You say, well, I feel this way because I feel like I'm being left out. Well, what's wrong with being left out? Well, if I'm left out, then I'm alone. Well, what's wrong with being alone? Well, if I'm alone, then it must mean nobody wants to be with me. Well, what's wrong with no one wanting to be with you? Well, if no one wants to be with me, it must mean that I'm unlovable. Boom. There's your wounded belief. If you continue to ask intelligent questions from that high self position without judgment, you will find your wounded core belief. And remember, the more you can bring light to the wounded core belief, the more likely you are to heal it. Now, before we end the video, I'm going to give you 3 simple ways that you can draw light in. The first way is to just go out in nature. Step away, especially when you're triggered. Step away. Just step away. Use the pause. Use the power of this now moment and go into nature where you can see the abundance and the non-resistance just happening in organic flow. The next way is to put down technology. Get away from it all, and I mean all of electronics. Reduce that exposure to electromagnetic frequencies because you want to get back to your organic vibration, into that homeostasis, so that you can stabilize your emotions and really act from that high self position. And the third way is to make sure you are forming happy, healthy relationships that are co-creative, uplifting, and inspiring. One of the most powerful things that affect our vibration, along with our beliefs, are the people in our lives. So make sure that you are intentionally forming relationships in order to raise your frequency and bring in more light. I hope this video helped you, and if you think it would help another person, definitely share. Also comment below if you want me to produce a video on a particular subject. I'd be more than happy to do so. In the meantime, until I see you again, peace.